just quirky.
But she's pencil drawings, you know,
Oh.
all this stuff.
She's
Twenty different
got-
pencils,
she's-
20 different pencils.
She's watercolor.
No, she did
I
not.
guess we can get started. Welcome, everyone. Thanks for coming. And I am happy to welcome Duc Tram here to give us the Learn to Draw workshop. And I'll just tell you a little bit about him, that Duc is a classically trained contemporary artist who started drawing later in life. Says as a young child, he was intimidated by his friends who drew better than him. However, he took a chance in college and switched his major from nursing to fine arts. He attended the Gage Academy of Art in Seattle, and he believes that anyone can learn to draw and paint if they're willing to put in the work. So, and I'd also like to, before we get started, do a couple of things. We are trying to gather interest on, there's someone that is interested in starting up a Dungeons and Dragons meetup group here, so we were just trying to see if there was interest in that in this area. If you know of anyone, or if you'd like to get involved. Dungeons and Dragons meetup, like have Kobetich Library be a meetup spot for it.
Isn't that like some sort of video game?
Oh,
Yeah, and it's kind of geared toward older of 16 to 50 plus is what he has on the survey here. So we have this to fill out and bring it up to the desk. Give it to us. That'd be great. What else? Okay, and then also at the end of the program, and I'll pass it out now, but we do have a survey to see how you enjoyed the class, and if it's something that we should have more of. So it gives us an idea of what programs to schedule at our library or any of the other branches. Okay, and then there's also, Doug, do you wanna tell them about your sign-up sheet?
Oh yeah, so I'm
So
gonna.
welcome, Doug.
Hello, I'm gonna be just filming myself. The camera is put at an angle where it can only show me. It's not showing any of you guys. And I know this is just like a little bit on the back of your head. And so I want you guys to just enjoy the lecture and just pay attention. If you guys have any questions, write it down. I'm gonna answer questions later on. What's gonna happen is just I'm gonna go over some slides, give you a technique, and we're gonna practice it on the worksheet down there. And then I'm gonna go over more lecture, then we're gonna go over the sheet a little bit more, and then any question you guys have at the end, I'll answer. But I just wanted to let you know you guys don't have to take notes and write every single thing down, since it'll be filmed, and the sign-up sheet for your name and just an email, it's gonna be on that table in the back, and I'll just send you guys the video link when it's ready. Does that sound good? All right. Anything else, Serge?
No, go ahead.
Okay, so we're gonna get started with the intro to the drawing workshop. How to draw anything, even if you can't. And I know there's a lot of, when it comes to art, there's a lot of feelings about whether you're a real artist or how is this even humanly possible. But I believe learning to draw and paint is possible by learning a system for it and practicing it with good instruction. And so raise your hands if you guys ever felt like you couldn't draw or paint like a certain thing, like cars, people, faces. Pretty much everyone in this room has similar feelings to that. Now what's amazing is that you guys have something in common with these three great masters, Michelangelo, Dali, and Titian, who awesomely forged drawing right here. They too thought they couldn't draw or paint. They thought Michelangelo never even considered himself a painter. He considered himself as a sculptor. And even Dali was like, you'll never reach perfection. And Titian, who was one of the greatest of all time, thought he's just starting to learn about painting. And so that leaves us with the question of, well, what about us? Where do we fit in this big art world that's very intimidating and confusing? And I think if we translate our feelings from the art world to the sports world, it can provide some answer. And so if we think that we're only real artists if we can draw as good as Michelangelo, That's like saying you're not a real basketball player because you don't play like Kobe or Messi for a soccer player. Even professional players do not play like these guys. They're at the top of their field. That's, if we apply that to Michelangelo, Raphael, Da Vinci, that's pretty much where we're at. And so what do we do now that we have this huge yardstick to live up, whether it's our own expectations or other people's expectations? I propose a different way of looking at the art world and to see it as a way to grow and progress. And for example, this is Picasso's progression throughout his life. This was when he started drawing at the age of, like, he was below his 20s, so he was like a teenager. This was him drawing as a teenager, and this was him later in his 30s, 40s, or 50s, you know, near his death time. And so if we're the outsider, or if we just try to think of it logically, we're like, wait, his drawing and painting kind of got worse. What the heck? I like the first one better. But I think art is more, it's more than just getting better and who can draw the best or who paints better than who. It's about growing and progressing yourself as a human being rather than the achievement that you accomplish with art. And granted, not everybody feels this way about art, but I'm just proposing a different way of looking at it. It's kind of like telling yourself that you have to live life a certain way and this is what you do, stuff like that. Art can be very flexible as well, similar to life. And so I want you guys to know that with drawing, it is possible to improve to this level, even if you started out somewhere here. This is an example of professional artists that had pictures of when they were 13 and they just practice, learn, and talk to people. They were able to bring their skill to a very crazy level of good. And similar to where I'm from, I started drawing way later in life, and I was going to school for nursing, and I could barely draw a stick figure. But after attending the Gage Academy of Art in Seattle with the right teacher and practicing it, I was able to draw, you know, like a good-looking face that's very convincing. To go from this to this, it's totally possible with just learning a system and practicing it. So we want to think of art as a simple act, like breathing or walking. You know, like, yes, there are speed walking events in the Olympic, but you know, there's no really a way to say you're walking wrong or you're, you know, breathing wrong. You know, there's just ways to be optimal about it. And so expecting yourself to draw right away like the comic book guys or like Van Gogh, it's like expecting an 8-year-old to learn calculus. You wouldn't expect that from them because it's too far out of their range of knowledge. But you know they have the possibility to learn calculus when they're of age and going to school. The same thing applies to art as well. We tend to think of art as something that's personal, that's a part of us and who we are, which is true to some extent, but we can also get better just by learning the skill itself. And so our school at the Tacoma Academy of Visual Art, we do our best to improve artists, even if they start off from drawing stick figure, and push them to a level where they can paint with oil paint, which some people consider to be really, really tough. But I think with the right teachers and the right attitude, you guys can definitely do it. And so now we're gonna go to our worksheet, and I'm gonna introduce you guys to the idea of the tetrachus, which is an ancient Greek idea where a lot of the Greek philosophers were trying to figure out what's the meaning of life and why are we here? And one of the answers they came up with is that life is just a little bit of segments of broken down. And so we think of art like that. We will, you guys can look at your worksheet now. And on the first one, it says to start with a dot. Now, you guys mostly, I'm assuming that you guys have seen those connect the dot picture book. It's similar to what we're gonna do, but we're gonna apply it to a much higher level. So on your worksheet where it says you have a point, and on step 2 where it says draw another point to it, I want you guys just to do that and follow along with the slide. Yeah, it looks like you already got it. Good job. And then And so when you guys have those two dots connected, this is a line. And what this idea is introducing is the idea of going from one dimension to two dimension to three dimension on a piece of paper. And three dimension just means it looks 3D and looks kind of real on a piece of paper. And so now that we have a line, we're going to connect those lines to make a shape right here. So we're going to connect this line to here to make a triangle. Anyone can make a triangle. So this is like learning your alphabet. You know, yes, you have to put in the work to learn the alphabet, but anyone can do it. Now, we're going to connect those shapes to other shapes to make a form. And see how there's a triangle right here and a triangle right here. It's kind of hard to see because of the projector, but just imagine there's a little triangle right here. And I'm going to fill in this to make it look a lot more clear. So you guys can see this is a 3D triangle, which we call pyramid. So any questions so far on that idea? Seems pretty self-explanatory. And so now you have a pyramid, which is a three-dimensional object, but it's on a flat piece of paper, which you guys are drawing on. So that's the idea we're going to go off with. How do we make a 3D object look real on a flat piece of paper? Kind of like when you're watching a movie, you know that things are going in, even though it's a flat piece of screen. And so this is the book called the Bark Plate book. And this is what Picasso and Van Gogh and other famous classical artists had to learn when they were in art school. And so if they learned this stuff, I think it would be a good idea for us to learn as well, to see what's so good about this book. And so if you guys flip to the next page in your worksheet, you guys should have something that looks like an eyeball. And so sometimes when we look at these, they're very intimidating, and we're like, there's no way I can draw something like this. But if we apply the idea of the tetrachus, where we start off with a point, and then another point, and we put a line to connect it to make the shape, this is easily done even with the computer mouse. So first, we're gonna put a point on this section. And you guys can draw on the blank page, or you can draw on top of this. It doesn't matter right now. That's up to you. But if you guys want the best learning experience, I recommend you just draw on the blank piece of paper. And so we got that point, and then we got another point, and then we'll connect that with the line, just like those connect the dot picture. And we're gonna start doing that for the next one. Plotting a point, and then we're going to connect that line. Seems like you guys are getting it. And so it's just the same thing, the same concept of starting off with a point, which is one dimension, connect it to make two dimension, and you guys are free to experiment within your own paper to see which one you guys would do, but this is just a little bit of template to let you know where to go. So here, here. So you don't have to, you can plot several points ahead of time. If you guys are feeling comfortable doing it like this, you can do it ahead of time, like 1, 2, 3, 4, and then just connect them. Or you guys can just do it one by one, whichever you're more comfortable with. And so pretty much you just start doing that here, here, just like that. You guys are starting to draw, you know, it's learning your alphabet, and now we're learning a word. Same thing with here, here and here. You can make that line. And so far, does anyone have any questions about this method right now? Yeah, definitely. Yeah, just thinking about the big picture, and it's like really scary, and then we're just gonna learn our alphabet, use some letters, and we're gonna make a word. So it's very doable. Here. Yep, just like that. Apply it. Here. And then if you guys get lost, just raise your hand. My boss and drawing teacher, Mike, will be in the back going around to help you guys if you need help figuring out where to draw with it. And the concept, which is good. So you guys are doing well, right? Oh, you're good. All about that creativity, right? So let's see here. Any questions so far? Okay, awesome.
Yeah, if I guess it'll be, if I do this, then I can look at it.
So it looks like most of you guys are getting the hang of it. If you guys are still working on the eye, that's totally cool. I'm just gonna go to the next slide to show even a better example of this. So now you guys done the eye, and most of you are getting the hang of it. And so now what do we do when we run into something really complicated like a face? A lot, even me, I would feel intimidated drawing this. But now we're going to take it a step further from learning words into learning paragraphs, per se. And so you guys can see these crosses right here. They're to establish the proportion of the face. And if you think about the face, it's divided up into 3 sections. This is the forehead, this is the eye to the nose, and this is the nose to the chin. And in classical thinking, we keep those 3 proportions the same because the ratio makes it of it being equal to 3 parts makes it beautiful. And that's what we strive for in classical design. And so even something complex like that can be broken down into points and lines. And so you guys see the line that's half across here. We can just divide the face into half, starting from the top of his head down to all the way at the bottom. And so we just draw straight lines. And I think that's in the next sheet. That's awesome. So we got a straight line right here. And now we make a straight line for the 3 proportions, which is the forehead, the nose, and the chin.
There's a line in the mouth, so that.
Yeah, the line on the mouth is to show where the 3 proportions are, right here. Are you talking about this mouth right here?
Yeah.
Yeah, it's pretty much there to
Because the nose is a line, and then the mouth is a line.
Mm-hmm.
They're not equal proportion. To the chin it is.
To the chin it is.
Okay.
Yeah. And let me see. Okay, so to make it look easier, so do you see how this line equals to that? And then this right here, the forehead would equal the face, the mouth, and the mouth would equal to the chin. Are you talking about like how this line is confusing you? This would be the halfway point from this to here, I believe. Hey Mike, do you know if this line denotates half of this?
I know what the bar plate. He sometimes has his own method of doing it, but typically, like if I was going to divide the face into sections, I would go from hairline to brow, brow to nose, and nose to chin. I think that the line for the mouth here is there simply to kind of just help you place the mouth. But it's not a super important, I guess, division. More so important for the hairline to the top of the brow, from the brow to the nose, and from the nose to the chin. Those are the ones I was worried about the most. And then I would place that in there just to kind of get a feeling of where the mouth should go.
And I think this one, it's the point that's between the nose. They Bart put that there to show where the bottom of the ear ends, right here, versus where half of the eye and where the pupil rest is at. And so that's an additional detail that might complicate things a little bit further. So right now I'm just trying to keep things simple to introduce you guys to a drawing system. And later, if you guys want to go in further depth, we can definitely cover this right here. But yeah, after you guys get this line and these crosses, I would do the same thing. I start off with a point right here, and then I start with another point right here, and I connect the line. Just like that. And I would connect it right here. And so I guess one of the questions that was asked around the room is like, well, what do I do if you just give me this and I can't see the dot? Where do I start from here if it's completely blank and I'm just looking at the book for my first time and I don't know where to put the dots at? I would divide this thing in half. That's what I would do to help have a thing to ground it with. And then do you see like how these little corners where there's a line here and there's another line, it makes a little corner. I would just put a dot in the corner. So you could start your dot let's see, right here, but you could also just start it right here. It's a very flexible system as long as you follow it through.
Oh,
so
yeah.
This little corner right here, you could just start here, and then you see how this line and this line connects to make a little corner right here. You can just put a little dot right here, have it connected, and go to the right side. Start from the right instead of the left. So it's I'm gonna let you guys work on that for a little bit. You guys don't have to complete it, but I just want you guys to be able to apply the system to something as complicated as a face. And so you guys go ahead. I'm gonna walk around the room. Same thing with Mike. We're gonna try to help
You
you.
do the outline first and then put everything inside, or?
That's how I would start. I know some people they start with like this, and then they work their way like that, like they go from the outside with the contour, and then they go from inside to do this. So it's kind of like they're drawing a picture like this. So I'll just be walking around the room to see what you guys need help with. Okay. Okay, so it seems like most of you guys are getting it, if not all, pretty much all, that's 99%. We're gonna go over a bonus lecture that Loretta asked me to give about composition. And so Loretta is part of the Urban Sketcher group in Tacoma, where you guys go out monthly, or is it weekly? Monthly, they have monthly meetings where they just go out to a location and they all gather and start drawing in either watercolor or just a regular pencil. If you guys are interested in joining that group or have questions, either ask me or Loretta. We would know about that if you guys wanted more drawing. And so we're gonna go over composition, and basically composition is trying to move the viewer's eye without you telling them to move their eye. It's kind of like a body language of art and lines. And so we've talked about dots and lines at the beginning. And so where does that fit when we're trying to make some grandiose picture that looks really good? Well, we can use the line to produce informal design. And so what informal design means, it just means that there's no hard rule about what you should do about it. It's just kind of like whatever you're up to. It's very more flexible, way more flexible than the dot and line system. And so you can see that you just draw like a bunch of empty boxes, and you can just start putting lines wherever you want, basically. Just some random lines. Or you can put some shapes into that, and I'm gonna go over how this all plays on the next slide. But another concept of composition is overlapping things. So making sure one thing is in front of another, or making sure one thing is behind something, and how that creates a picture. And now this looks very abstract, but in the next lecture, or next slide, there's more example of what you can use with the design. And don't worry about copying all this down. I can send it to you if you guys sign up with the email on the table in the back. And so overlapping, like I was talking about, notice how the proof right here is in front of the bowl rather than to the side of the bowl. And so this helps create depth. And also notice these lines are perspective lines, which I was showing with here. They push the viewer eye this way so that you're looking at this fruit bowl right here. The artist didn't write, hey, please look at my fruit bowl. They used lines to direct your eyes towards it. Similar to here with the perspective shot of the city, you can see from the lines right here, it's going towards the building, that you know this is the centered focal point of what the artist wants you to look at. And right here has a little bit of a curve and arc, just like right here with the little spooky swoop. Similar to that. It looks like the dress is flowing. You can see there's wind. Your eyes going here. But if this is all very like, I still don't get it, I don't understand, this provides a better example of composition. And you can see that it's just using any line you want. There's no hard rule about it. Now, look how this is just like, it kind of looks like a sword to me, like the swords you drew when you were a little kid. Notice how this line is the curve of the spine of this woman going down here, and this curve right here is the bedding. Notice how they have a similar flow of the eye. That way it goes down and here. And so this is a good exercise, would just be to draw like blank boxes, draw like 2 or 3 lines, and then see if you can make a picture out of it. And so you guys are free to practice that. But if this is all like, I don't get it, the lines are everywhere, I don't know what to do, you can go back to the alphabet. The thing that you've been learning since kindergarten can be used to create pictures and composition. T-pose. Like right here, the T is this, and then the T is the ocean. Similar to the Y, you can see that the figure is holding their hands up, and it creates a Y. And so it's really interesting to see what kind of composition you can get just from using letters. You would never think of that, like, oh, no way. But it's like, even this C, this picture right here, it's like, where do you see the C in that? It kind of looks like an L, because there's a tree right here, and there's a forest right here. But it's kind of open for interpretation. It's like I said, it's not a hard rule like values or anatomy. It's really open and flexible as long as you purposely put it there. There's a difference in art between purposely putting it there and not having the skill and it's suddenly there, So let's see what we got for the next slide. Just more shapes. If you're into shapes, some people are into letters, like calligraphy. Some people are into shapes. So same thing. You can use a triangle, a square, circle, or even lines. Right here, it's a very good example of the shape. You got a triangle, a rectangle. Almost forgot my shapes there. And you can see how the triangle became a pie, and this became a glass of milk. And so it's, for composition, just think about what you want the viewer to see, basically, and designing the shape to lead up to that. And so if you guys have any questions, now would be a good time to ask. And that will be the conclusion of our slide. Thank you very much.
Thank you.